Hello, you have tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm Sergeant Rich Myers, the Indiana State Police Public Information Office from District 52. With me today is Brian Oli, First Sergeant of the Museum and Public Information Office in Indianapolis, and Ernie Alder, retired Indiana State Police Sergeant from Connorsville, and pretty much a pioneer of the Indiana State Police Museum and the camps that the State Police run today. We are brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance, like we are each and every week, and we thank them for their continued support and the support of Tom Trial, our off-camera guru, putting us on Facebook and also on YouTube. So thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate what you do each and every week. Well, guys, let's get started because we got a lot of stuff to cover here with Ernie being here. And the last time we had him in, we got into the camps, but we kind of wanted to switch gears here a little bit and talk about the museum, which Ernie was very instrumental in and working with that. And let's start with Brian. Brian, today, the museum is a big focal point of the state police, but it's not only just for the museum. You guys have a lot of companies come in. We have a lot of training being held there. It's a big part of the state police, isn't it?
Yeah, we do have a very nice training room, and we've upgraded it with a lot of more modern techniques and equipment in the last few years. But I would point out that the training room is actually entitled the Ernie Alder and Betty Alder Conference Room, named after Ernie. So the training room gets used pretty frequently. We use it internally for our own training purposes as an agency, but we also have had several opportunities to have other entities come in and do training. For example, the U.S. Attorney, the U.S. Attorney's Office has come in and done several trainings. They've also held some symposiums there because of the location of our facility. And for other government entities, we really don't have a fee to use a facility. So everything's kind of in-house and it's kind of there. But the museum itself has a lot of other things to come and see and do. And it's a place we try to get particularly people in, within a few hours, an hour's drive of us to come and visit. We have a lot of things to see, and we've got a lot of exciting things going on there now. But we see our busy season in the summer there when people are out of school, the kids are out of school, and the parents are looking for something to kill a couple hours. It's a great place to bring your kids and interact with the history of the Indiana State Police. And we also run a lot of our operations for the Public Information Office from the museum, and that's kind of where we're headquartered out of. So I have staff that works there for me that does several different things. You mentioned Tom, who is our videographer and is actually the one filming this. He works out of there. We have a graphics design person that works out of there. Our camps are run out of there with Sergeant Poole that Ernie helped to start. And I've also got an administrative person that works there, and we've got a new person there that just started the 1st of 2015, Lauren Baker, who is our new museum curator and the first person we've ever had professionally trained to operate and facilitate a museum and proper and ethical standards of preserving and protecting the items. So
great. We need that. We need somebody in there to step up.
We want to keep the stuff around from, even before Ernie's time. We want to keep that stuff around for, when my grandkids are coming around and being able to see it. So we want to preserve the history of our department.
Well, Ernie, let's talk to you here about what was your foresight? Let's get a museum for the Indiana State Police and have it up. Did you visit some other states beforehand, or how did this come about?
Well, actually, I was pretty desperate to keep my job that I had at the time. And, I had,
looking for something to keep it going, huh?
We were well into the camp program. We were, in the 90s, we were running 2,000 kids every year in the camps. And we had a new superintendent who will be at this time unnamed. And he was just not too keen about the summer camps. And I understood all of that. At that time, the federal government was requiring so much time for the troops to be on interstate and federal highways. And, of course, when you have a summer camp, you have to draw a few people off the road. Mm-hmm. And it was a challenge. And, one night, as I was very distressed about my situation, I thought, what could I do to please a new superintendent? And that's what I came up with. How about a museum?
What year was this? What year did the museum?
That was 1993.
Okay.
And I named it Youth Education and Historical Center. The short term now is museum, which is also fitting. The purpose of the youth education was number one, to have a place for the camps, to have an administrative office, and,
Right.
and also from time to time bring young people in to view the history of the department and enjoy and understand exactly what the state police is all about. And it worked out real good. And as I hear what's going on there now, I'm thinking, wow, a lot of other things have developed. And one of the fringe benefits I see for the state is the use of the conference room,
Right.
as opposed to going out and doing a retail rental of some place for a couple of days makes a lot of difference. So I think it's even saved the state a lot of money.
Was this location always the location, or were you looking other places and then 21st and Post just happened to come up, or was that?
No, that was it. Of course, I'd been in there many times for gas and to go to the garage and so forth. And I noticed there on the east end there was 2 or 3 acres that looked pretty inviting as far as making an addition to the area, and that's what it turned out to be. Worked out good.
So what was the biggest challenge of getting the museum started and up and running and getting the department to say, yeah, we need to do something like this?
Well, the superintendent said, "How do you plan to pay for this?" And
it's
certainly
money.
wasn't going to be
It's
out of my
money,
pocket. It wasn't going to be out of my
It always
money.
goes back to money.
Yeah.
So I said, well, sir, through the years with the camps, I've had a lot of connections with various service clubs, Kiwanis, Lions, Optimus, JCs, that had supported our camps and who I had learned some of them had considerable bank balances that they like to use for good purposes. So I said, Superintendent, don't worry about it. Let me worry about it. Good. Well, you know how we started. Many people don't realize it, but my first stop was at the Alliance office.
Right, State Police
And
Alliance.
the Alliance voted to give me $100,000 to get started. Well, that was about 20% on the way, and without that, it would have been a real struggle. But then through the contacts out in the communities and various people and organizations, the total realized was about $600,000. So over a period of a year and a half, we got the money raised, and I put a construction trailer in there, and I sat there and ran camps for a couple summers while I was watching other people do the work on the building. And fortunately, when I retired again, it was paid for. Thank goodness.
I think it's important to point out, we are at 21st and Post Road on the east side of Indianapolis. That area, actually, it's got a pretty rich history in and of itself. There's still a lot of old timers that refer to it as Sky Harbor because if you were around Indianapolis in the 50s and early 60s, there was an airport there. It's called Sky Harbor Airport. So it's got some history there, and we've got actually a few photos of before state police property. But that 21st and Post area that Ernie talks about, that's where the old Indianapolis District 52 facility was. It's also where our logistics division is with all of our quartermaster and our headquarters garage that puts all the cars out. It's all in that area. Our engineering section works out of there. So several little things there. And then since that time, the Traffic Management Center, which is the new District 52, which is a combined facility with NDOT, here locally, and is the traffic management center for the state of Indiana, basically, through NDOT, and then our dispatch and district headquarters is located behind the post. There's a nice big pond there that wasn't there when the museum was built. There's a lot of
it's kind of the center of everything.
The facility itself has grown and expanded. It's where our motor pool works out of, but it's also the location that complex is also the location of the State Police Memorial Wall and Eternal Flame on the backside of the property, too. So there's a lot of things going on there at 21st and Post.
And again, you're listening to the State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids. I'm talking to First Sergeant Brian Olai and retired Sergeant Ernie Alder. You guys, I know we have several cars. We've got several things inside the museum of gangs, Dillinger gangs and stills and whatnot through the years. Do you get a lot of old troopers bringing in stuff to donate, and wives that and husbands of troopers that maybe have passed on and they find stuff locked away? Do you find that coming to the museum?
Absolutely. That's where a lot of the items that we have in our collection come from. Is this was the the department manual from 1954 that my grandfather had. We've had any number of ways. One of the troopers that was killed in the line of duty, Robert Clevenger, just 3 years ago, one of his nephews had his it was kind of his scrapbook of his time coming on to the Indiana State Police. It had news clippings in this scrapbook about his time in the Marine Corps and then his time when he got hired. There was a news article in his local hometown paper that, local boy is going to the Indiana State Police Academy. And Clevenger came on the department, and then it had news clippings of things he was involved in early in his career, crashes that he had been the investigating officer on, and cases where he had assisted, and he had these clippings. And then unfortunately, the family took over the scrapbook, and there's clippings about his death in the line of duty and his funeral, and and some photographs, which I thought was very this is in the late 50s, and color photographs actually of his gravesite. And they sent those things to us with some other mementos that he had. So those things have come into our collection, and we keep them. So there are several different ways we get things, but a lot of it is guys bring in stuff. I've had this for 30 years. I'm getting older, and I don't need it. Or we cleaned out Dad's closet after he had passed on, and we thought you guys would like to have these things. So that's one way we get a lot of our things. We get a lot of the things also, though, as they're turned in to our quartermaster section, and they're no longer serviceable. Right. They're no longer useful. One of the new things we've recently added in the state of Indiana, the official breath test instrument administered through the Department of Toxicology has recently changed. And the old BAC data masters, like you and I would have used, Rich, have been phased out. And we've taken one of those. It was assigned over to us from the Department of Toxicology, and we've got a little display on the history of breath tests in the state of Indiana, which the Indiana State Police was very much involved with the creation of the first recognized test on the Harger drunkometer. So lots of cool things. I mean, lots of innovations that have come through the Indiana State Police, and people like Ernie who had foresight to think about, looked at things differently and thought of things and thought about, hey, this is a great invention, or what about this? I mean, everything from early seatbelt use by our troopers and working with Northwestern University on seatbelts, early pioneers in polygraph operations, lie detector tests. So we've got a lot of things that we've touched, and including troopers who've gone on and started their own companies like Stop Sticks. Yep. There's a lot of innovation within our agency, and that we try to highlight some of those things.
Ernie, did you see it going this far? When back in '93, did you think, hey, this is going to be this big?
Not really. Of course, I was pretty well consumed with the idea of getting the building finished and getting it paid for. Was very.
That was probably a big worry on your head.
Somebody'd still be after me if I hadn't finished paying for it. But
we'd let him mop the floors to work it off.
Take it off his pension. It's just a pension draw.
But it was a good time, and I really enjoyed the challenge, and it was really amazing the public support that we got for that.
Well, I tell you, I'm really appreciative that you had the foresight to do this, because I know there's a lot of, like Brian talked about, a lot of families, a lot of school kids go through, especially homeschool kids, have a lot of trips through there. And, the best part about this whole thing that we haven't even touched on, but we need to, the cost, absolutely free. Absolutely free to go in there and stay all day and observe the state police history and what's there and what can be seen, and it's never been charged anything. And so talk about where we can find your location on the website. Where can people go to see more about the State Police Museum?
There is a link on the Indiana State Police home webpage, which is www.in.gov/ISP. There are several links on there that are worth exploring and are related to the museum. Some of that, it's the in memoriam stuff of those who've given their lives in the ultimate sacrifice to the state of Indiana, sworn and civilian personnel who's died in the line of duty. That's on there, and we honor them as well at the museum, and there's a special wall to them. There's also a link to our museum, and we're working with, like we said, we've added a museum curator. We were adding more to our website, and we expect to expand and increase that soon.
Well, great. Well, guys, thanks for coming in and talking about the museum. Ernie, you're welcome back anytime. Thanks for coming down here again and speaking with us. Brian, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Rich.
Again, it's been the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance, a big forerunner and person that got this museum going. Ernie Alder, retired Sergeant from Connersville, for Sergeant Brian Olai. I've been your host, Sergeant Rich Myers from the District 52. Thank you for joining us. You're welcome back each and every week. Make sure that you stay buckled up. Keep those kids buckled up. It's your best form of safety out there. We'll talk to you again next week. This has been The Road Show. Bye-bye.